Welcome to Podcast for Fun. This is the show where we dive into the passion, the process, and the journeys of creative storytellers as they bring their stories to life. I'm your host, Sophia, and today we are joined by a talented comic book artist, Mostafa Moussa. Thank you so much for being here, Mostafa.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
So, let's start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and your work.
Oh, sure. Well, let's see. Ever since I can remember, I was always drawing. I would draw with like crayons or pencils, whatever I could get a hold of, right? And then whatever was popular, that's what I would draw. So Transformers, Ninja Turtles, I would be drawing that. And then I was in sixth grade, and somebody handed me a Spider-Man comic book, and I said, "Oh, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. People do that. I want to do that."
Mhm.
And so I said, okay, let's see. I am this age right now. I found out that some of the creators out there that I looked up to were like 18 when they broke into Marvel. So I was like, okay, I got 6 years, right? So I'm like, okay, let
Oh,
me practice. And so I would just practice all the time. I would create my own books. I would write them. I would draw them, pencil, ink, everything. Make copies at the local like copier, sell them to my classmates. Like I had a passion for it. I wanted to do it. And then I graduated at 17. I said, okay, I got a year, right? So I went to my mom and I was like, this is what I want to do for a living. I went to my dad and they were like, okay, what do you need? And I'm like, okay, well, I need paper and pens and pencils and a drawing table, and I need plane tickets to San Diego. That's
mhm.
San Diego Comic Con. And so they're like, okay, let's go. So I had the support from my parents. That helped a lot. And went to San Diego and I showed my stuff to everybody. I had copies. I was ready. Had my portfolio ready. I was like, okay, please tell me, take a look. And they're like, oh, this is it's not bad, and maybe talk to this guy, talk to this guy, and then I got work. And then the next year the jobs got bigger, and then I was working with Image Comics. And then at 23, I started working for Marvel. And then you get word of mouth, and you talk to other people, and they're like, "Hey, this Mustafa guy, you should hire him." And then I started working with DC for like the last 10 years now, and it's all I've ever done. It's all I ever want to do.
Oh my God, you were a hustler.
Yes,
Wow.
absolutely. Yes. That is, if there is any lesson to be had, it is not about like I don't know, like, oh, you got to be this kind of artist, or you got to use this kind of tools. Like, no, you have to work harder than everybody else because they already got people. You have to work harder. You have to show that you want to do this, not just like, oh, if somebody gave me the opportunity. No, you make the opportunity.
I heard, the phrase, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There were guys I remember in my art class that they might not have been the most talented, but they worked harder than anybody. And so like
Mhm.
they took 4 years of art, and meanwhile I knew artists that didn't take any art training and they were just great, but they didn't work hard and they're not doing it for a living. And those guys that work hard, yeah, you'll break through. You'll present the luck that you need in life, right? You've heard about that. Luck is just preparation, mostly preparation, a little bit of talent. So, and then opportunity, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so you make your luck.
I heard another phrase. It's like, success is when opportunity meets preparation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Same thing with luck. Like, like, oh, people are like, oh man, you're so lucky. You get to travel the world and do comics and all
Mhm.
that. I'm like, oh, well, okay, but it's not luck. I had to work hard to get to this point. Like, oh, you get to work for yourself. You don't have your own boss. Oh, that's great. Man, must be nice. I'm like, well, if you start at 5 years old and you do this your entire life, maybe that can happen too. But yeah, a lot of it is just opportunities that you make for yourself.
Did you specifically want to do Spider-Man? Like, what of Spider-Man did you see that was like, oh my
Oh,
God, this is
well,
my life?
okay. Actually, you're up in Canada, so there was a guy, Todd McFarlane. He was a big Canadian artist, and he was reinventing comics, and he reinvented Spider-Man. Spider-Man was actually on the way down when he started, and he made Spider-Man like like really cool and creepy. Gave him the big eyes, gave him the crazy poses and the webbing everywhere and all of that. Just crazy hyper detail that like anytime anybody draws Spider-Man since, they're drawing an impression of him, essentially, like his Spider-Man. When you see the live action Spider-Man, those poses, that's Tom McFarlane, right? Even the expressions on his eyes, like how one will get a little bigger, one will get a little smaller, that's McFarlane, right? So it was Spider-Man, sure, but it was his version of Spider-Man, you know? And I'd see other guys draw, and I'm like, oh, that's okay, but it should look like that guy, you know? And then I discovered Batman and X-Men and all that other stuff. But yeah, that was my gateway, and it was not the character, but really the art, like how amazing his art was.
Did you have a lot of rejections before you actually got someone to,
You know, on that, I was very fortunate. I came prepared. I heard a lot about what you need in your portfolio. You don't want to overwhelm them. This is advice just for any upcoming artist. You don't want to overwhelm somebody with like, "Oh, I got 50 things to take a look at. Spend the next half hour looking at my stuff." Just give them, five or six really solid things, right? Put your
Mhm.
best one at the front, put your second best one in the back, right? And then everything in between is like storytelling, sequential art, showing that you can do this, showing that you can do that. Um, and if that isn't good enough, then they'll tell you. But luckily, my stuff was, good enough. And if it wasn't, it was the rejection was more like, we don't have a book for you, or we don't have it in the budget right now, or I'm like, oh, that doesn't help, but thank you. Or like, we can't use you, but maybe these other guys can, so like that would work out. Like we don't have anything for you, but I know this guy, you know.
Mhm.
So it was like rejection, but like deferred gratification, I guess. Yeah, it worked out.
You know what's funny? I just did like a bunch of pitching for my stories in Ottawa, and I
Hmm.
kept getting completely different advice. I had no idea what to do.
Now, a lot of times, and this might be, this is very specific and not general, but a lot of times you might want to take a look at who it is that's giving you the advice. Now, if it's like they're in a position where you want to be, absolutely listen to them, right? If it's somebody they're like, "Oh, I don't think you're doing so hot right now," like maybe don't listen to them, you
Mhm.
know? It's something I hear a lot about. Like if it's the most, successful guys in the industry, they're like, "Hey, listen here, do this, do that." I'm gonna listen. But if
Yeah.
it's some up and comer that's struggling as well, they're like, "Actually, you should be doing this. You're doing this all wrong." I would listen to them and I'd be like, I don't agree with anything that you're saying, and I don't like what you're doing. Why would I want to listen to you? So like listen to the people that are where you want to be. Don't just take everybody's advice. Sometimes you're going to get some bad advice, probably. What was the worst advice that you got in Ottawa?
The worst advice I got.
Yeah. Like advice where you're like, I can't use that at all.
Um, well, okay, it's not like it was the worst advice, but the advice
Hmm.
I got was the one I was already working on, where they're like, yeah, you should work more deeper into this, you should make a comic out of it. I'm like, I already
Hmm.
am, or
Yeah.
you should, I'm there to pitch it to get funding to make it into something. And they're like, you should just do that without us, and then we'll just take credit by giving you a little bit of
Right.
distribution.
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. That's not going to be helpful, is it?
I did not think
No.
that was helpful. Like, I don't know if I told you, but I want to become a 2D, like a film director for 2D animation. So I
Yeah.
brought my comics, I brought my whole story and my script, and I'm like, I'm pitching this, right, to
Hmm.
producers. And surprisingly, a lot of people said they want to look at the script. I was like, this is good. But then, like, two or three guys, because I'm just pitching to everybody I possibly can, because I'm hustling
Sure.
and bustling.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? I think you should like make a film out of it, and then I'll look at it, and then we'll talk. I'm like, what do you think that
Oh,
here? I'm not that rich.
yeah. 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 Let me just go make a movie real quick. Give me a couple weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was so silly. But
Yeah.
I hope they're not looking at this and they're like, whoa, Sophia's like, I'm kidding. But
No, no,
I
it's
did get a
fine.
lot of I did get a lot of people I noticed. is like doing a lot of kids movies, which I found was very interesting. I don't know why kids shows are so popular in animation, but it was like 90% kids shows and maybe some people who were doing anything above 13 plus. And I was going up as like a full
Well,
mature.
there's probably a bigger reason for it, but like I remember growing up, there was like something for this audience, something for this audience, something for that, and now it's like let's try to get everybody we can with this audience, right? So like these things are like big investments, especially like back in the day, they did stuff a lot of stuff by hand. Now it's all digital. Economies of scale, things get more expensive, and they're like, okay, we can't just invest in something that might break even but people like for 30 years, right? Like one of my favorite movies of all time is Iron Giant. Love that movie, right?
Uh,
And it's for kids, but adults can enjoy it too. Like I can watch it now. I'll watch it in 20 years. I'll still like it just as much as when I was a kid, right? That movie didn't make any money. It almost bankrupted the studio, right? I know. It's one of the greatest movies of all time, but it wasn't successful. So, what is the motivation? And this is me playing devil's advocate. What's the motivation for them taking a chance on a movie like Iron Giant, other than just to create art, which is what I like as an artist. But if you're going to lose money, how are you going to get that money? You know?
hmm I think it's better to make good movies because, okay, I noticed that for me at least, I get more success by focusing on a specific niche than just trying to go for everybody.
hmm Yeah. But think about it now, if it's movies, if it's TV shows, video games, I'm a big video gamer. You see now, video games are taking so long to come out. They're these big, really expensive things that sometimes aren't that great, but they're trying to appeal to everybody. And like back in the day when I was younger, there was like, oh man, there's this game that's just for these people, and this game that's just for these people. And now it's like these huge things that are crazy investments of your time, and they want you to be the only thing they ever look at or ever play. Same thing with TV shows, same thing with streaming. Netflix is big down here, and all the streaming. They want you to keep watching. Is it
Mhm.
good? It doesn't matter if it's good. We want you to keep watching. You know.
You know, I actually saw Brad Bird the other day at the
Oh,
animation.
did you? Speaking of,
Yeah, it was awesome.
yeah, awesome, awesome. He made a great Mission Impossible movie too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And he was saying that the worst thing a producer can tell you is a maybe.
yeah, yeah. What am I gonna do with that? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
because you can't push it forward, but you also can't like have it for yourself because they kind of like have control. They're like, having this little carrot in front of you, like, yeah, you can about to get it. You're
Yeah,
about to get it. And like,
just say no. Yeah. So when I was like, what, 18, I talked to DC, and
uh,
they were like, "Oh, we have this. There's like an anthology book that they had, right? Showcase is what it's called. So it was like new and upcoming artists and characters and stuff." And they're like, "Oh, if Showcase was still going around, I'd put you on the book right now." And I'm like, this is going to be easy. Oh my God, I'm 18. I might be working for DC. This is awesome. And then it took forever to finally work for DC. So like,
oh,
I
God.
would rather him just say like, we don't have anything for you. Sorry.
Okay.
Instead they're like, oh, if we had something, it'd be great. So I know exactly what he means.
Okay, what's the process that you expected and the process that you got to getting a job?
That's a good question. So, I was, I guess, an arrogant teenager. At 12 years old, I would look at books. Yeah, you too?
Yeah.
So I would look at books and I'd look at one issue and be like, this is exactly what this is supposed to look like. And I'd look at the next issue and I'm like, oh, this doesn't look right. What's going on? And then I realized it was the artists, because sometimes it's a team of artists. And I'm like, oh, they're not doing this right. I know what they should be doing. They should be doing this. They should be doing that. But I was 12 and I had a 12-year-old's hand. So it wasn't like I could do it. But in my head, I knew exactly what they needed, and I just needed to train my hand what was in my head. And
Hmm.
it's probably like musicians where they have songs in their head and they got to get it out. But at 12 years old is a little different, playing a guitar than like 22, right?
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, I know exactly what to do. I just got to express that on paper, right? And so I was prepared to get work from somebody. you know? And I thought like, okay, Marvel at 18? No? Okay, so I got it at 23 or whatever. That's close enough, I guess. And then I look back and I realized like, okay, I guess that was like at the time I was like, well, I'm 5 years late because I was thought I was going to get there at 18, you know?
Mm.
And then I was like 23, I'm a slacker. And then I realized, okay, I guess it's not bad, you know? But yeah, that's what I expected. I expected at 18, have my own books out there by like 25, have my own studio by age 30, whatever, you know? I just, you know, I had lofty aspirations. And I expected actually, I expected to work more and not be as successful because Comic Cons weren't really a big deal back then. There was San Diego, there was Chicago, I think there was one in New York, and that was about it. And then there was just like they were in hotels, right?
Mm.
Like little tiny hotel ballrooms. And now there's shows everywhere. Like, you know, we met in Ottawa, and then, you know, I went to Edmonton a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna be going to New York in a couple weeks. San Francisco, Tokyo, I get to go at the end of the year. So like all these opportunities that I didn't expect, that I didn't get into comics for, came around. So whatever my expectations were, it's way higher. You know, I got to work with Stan Lee. I got to work on Transformers and Ninja Turtles and Godzilla and all these things that I liked as a kid. Like I didn't think that would happen, you know? So now it's more about, okay, what else can I do? What other fun things can I do, you know?
I also didn't expect to travel so much too because I'm also going all over the place. I'm like,
Yeah.
it involves so much moving and talking to people. And I just wanted to make comics.
Yeah. No, I got a cute story for you if you want to hear about it. Okay.
Of
So
course.
my first San Diego Comic Con, I was, 18. I hadn't been on a plane by myself, other than I think visiting my family when I was like a teenager. I hadn't been on a plane by myself, and I was like, "Hey, mom, do you want to come with me?" So I had my mom come with me, right? And then I realized, wait a second, the Marvel line is 6 hours long. If you wait in line, I can go talk to other people. And so we would trade off, right?
Oh
So
my
she
God.
was waiting in line for Marvel while I would talk to Dark Horse and DC and Image and all these other people. And then we'd swap. Like when there's like two or three from the night, I was like, oh, time to swap. Now you stay in line over there. And like we worked as a team. She didn't know any of this stuff. You know, she was like, she just got thrown into the deep end, like, hey, mom, Marvel, DC, whatever. She's like, okay, I know he has a passion for it. She didn't know if it was going to pay off. She was just like, okay, we'll see. You know, again, the support that I had. And so she was going to get me something to eat, right? And so she went to like the food court area, and while in line, these two guys were talking about, oh man, this book that we're working on, we could really use like an inker, and my mom just chimes in. She's like, "Oh, my son's an artist," and she's telling me the story, and I'm like, "Oh, mom, what did you say?" Oh no. Okay. All right. And she's like, "You should go talk to them. They're expecting you." And I'm like, oh, all right, fine. So I went over there with my portfolio and I was like, "Hi, my mom sent me over here." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we thought you were gonna be like 12." I'm like, "Yeah, here's my stuff." And they looked, and they after like 2 pages, they're like, "Oh, actually, no, this is good. This is exactly what we need. Yes, we could use you right now." And that's how I got to work for Image Comics.
Oh my God, what?
And so that guy is still a friend of mine. And every time I see him, he'd be like, "Hey, how you doing? How's your mom?" He'd ask about my mom. Like, it's great. Yeah.
Can
And
I
we've
ask
gotten to work
like
together and other things since. Like, yeah, it's been great.
who was it? I'm so
Oh,
curious.
his name is Tone Rodriguez.
Mhm.
He was living in California at the time, and then he was moving near. Like I live in Texas, so he's moving nearby to Louisiana. So I introduced him to all my friends. I was like, "Hey, you're nearby. There's a lot of good shows over here. I can, And then I start seeing him at all these shows, and all my friends become his friends, and yeah, it's great. Anything I can do to pay things forward, I will.
Oh my God, your mom was like a connection queen.
She was, and she was also my mom. She was very much my mom in that, like, oh, my son, like, thanks, mom.
Work smarter, not harder, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's another thing we talked about how, like, I did sequential art for the first, however many years of my career. And then they started wanting me to just do covers. And I'm like, wait, so covers, I do less work, I get paid more, people see it. I like this. And so I just got a bunch of comps from Marvel. I was looking at it and I was like, oh, I've had a busy year this year. Like if I did sequential art, it would have been all that work would have been equated to maybe one issue instead of like 10 or 15.
Oh yeah.
Um, so work smart, not hard. Absolutely. It's one of those things I had to learn the older I got, but yeah.
Okay, I have a little question then. Does that
Okay.
mean that like you find more passion in having like you prioritize having more people see your work? Because I guess if you work on more issues, more people will see it, right? Than having like working on one
Well,
issue.
it can't be the only priority, but it is,
Yeah.
I guess, gratifying, whenever people are like, oh, I saw that cover. It looks awesome. I'm like, oh, you saw it. Oh, thanks. You know, um, but, I am a storyteller. I do like working on storytelling pages, sequential art. So, like, I remember the first time I went to Japan, I was there for like 10 days. And I was like, okay, well, as long as I'm here, I should work. So like I would go have fun in the evenings with my friends, but then during the day I was in the hotel just grinding away on pages, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
Like this is what I want to do. This is what my job is. All this other stuff is fun, getting to travel the world and all that. That's fun. But my job, what my passion is creating art. So like I'll never not want to do that. But my motivation now is probably the people that I get to work with. That's number one. If it's a friend of mine or somebody I respect or admire, I want to do that. Doesn't matter if it's Paper Sack Man. I'm like, oh, yes, I'm on board. You know,
Hmm.
there's a legendary comic book artist. His name's Kevin McGuire. We're good friends, and he turned to me earlier this year and he's like, hey, so I'm thinking about working on this book. And I was like, okay. I was like, I think I'd want to work on it with you. And I'm like, yes, the answer is yes. It's like, well, I don't know how many. Yeah, yes. The answer is yes. I mean, well, it hasn't been written yet. Yes, yes, absolutely yes. It doesn't matter what the book is. I am on board because of who he is and because I get to work with my buddy, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, people underestimate how like when you work on a story, you actually work with the person who's making it more than the story, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. And when it's a penciler and inker team, when it's a writer and artist, when it's a team, you are creating this third, you know, imaginary artist, but this third person who is hopefully the the greatest of both parts, you know? And so
Hmm.
that's my favorite part in collaborating is like creating this third artist that can be, better than anything one person can do, when they work together, right? Like, you talk about like music or whatever, like the Beatles, right? You had the four talented guys that made music that lasts, for centuries, right? And then they did solo work and it was good. And there's some catchy songs, but none of it was good as when they were together, right? So that's how I look at it. Like being part of a team, like I love that. There are guys who can just go out there and just they don't need anybody. But I like working, with others.
Did you struggle to mo does that mean that you were kind of I noticed that when I work with other people, I feel like I have a lot of responsibility. So it's harder for me to slack. But when I'm alone, I'm like, I mean, I'm only disappointing myself. You know what I mean?
Oh, I suppose. I suppose a lot of that you work out before you ever get to the drawing table or the iPad, whatever you work on. Um, you bring your A game, you're ready to like put your best foot forward, all of that stuff. But yeah, if it's just you, then yeah, like and you're like, hey, why aren't you working? Oh, I thought I'd take a break. No, you should be working. You have those inner conversations, right? Like, oh, I wanted to check out that new thing. People been telling me I gotta check out that new. No, it's time to work. You should be working right now. Like you got that voice going on. And when you work with others, it's like, oh, you're done with your part. Okay, let me get to my part, and then you create something cool.
Hmm. What happens? Have you ever dealt with burnout before? What happens when you're tired of drawing so much?
So that's a good question. That's a good question. I've only experienced burnout a couple times. Um, the first time I did it is when it was early in my career. So back then, and now, unfortunately, but like back then especially, I was working on smaller books where they couldn't pay very much, and the because the rates weren't very high, I had to work on like four books at a time. Talk about that hustling thing, right?
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, okay, well, they're all due in 2 months. Okay, so I'm gonna do a couple pages or, maybe 10 pages of this book, and then I'll
Mhm.
go and I'll do 5 pages of this book. And I was working constantly. And it was great. And then I had this book where it was very like laborious detail, and it wasn't something I could just knock. I was knocking out 2 pages, 3 pages a day if I had to. And then this stuff, it was like working all day and maybe not even finishing one page. And and I think I was going through like a breakup. It was like a bad breakup at that point, and I was like, I am not motivated to work right now. This isn't fun. And like the deadlines that I gave myself, I kept missing. So like I had that, and then I didn't have it again until last year. Last year. So the year before, I worked on however many dozen covers. I worked on seven different interiors, like books, sequential art. Seven different books, however many dozen covers, however many dozen commissions at shows and in between shows. I went to seven different countries, did 42 shows, right? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna prove that I can still do everything that I could do when I was younger. I'm gonna do everything, right? And then
Mhm.
there's like the calendar flipped and all my obligations were done, right? Like the books were done, the covers were done. It was January 2024, I guess. And I was like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to work right now, you know? And then like I remember like sitting at the table and I was like, I got work in front of me. I'm like, yeah, not today. There wasn't anything due. So I think what it was I needed deadlines, not
Mhm.
internal deadlines, but deadlines were like, hey, I know you're going through stuff right now, but this is due. I needed something like that, and I didn't have that the first few months of 2025, 2024. And so when I have deadlines, I can't think about writer's block or artist block or any of that. You got to get the work done. You got to be professional. This is the thing that the 14-year-old in you would have wanted to do. So like honor that kid, you know, and say
Mhm.
yes to it and figure it out.
That's so real. I can't trust people who don't like follow through with what they say, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's and now more than ever, there's so many people that'll say a lot like, oh man, if only this, if only that. No, 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 no. You do it. Don't wait for somebody to give you permission. Just do it.
Why do you think there are so many flaky artists? Well, at least it's the stereotype.
I mean, why is there so many flakes in general? I have met a lot of flakes. And to your credit, you are not a flake at all, which is great. You were
Thank you.
like, okay, we're gonna do this interview, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna be out of town. I won't be able to do it then. Okay, we're gonna settle it for this. You called me the day before. You're like, we're doing the interview. Here's the link. We get this done. And an age thing. Old people, young people, whatever. Flakes come in all ages, all sizes and shapes and colors and whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't I don't know. I think because we have so much more options now, you know?
Mhm.
Like, when I was growing up, there wasn't so many things to watch or to play or to listen to. Like that favorite song of yours, you had to wait till it came on the radio. And maybe you could record it from the radio, but you couldn't just pull it up on your phone. Your favorite cartoon, your favorite TV show, if you missed it when it aired, it could be another 8 months before they would air again. They didn't have like dedicated like apps and channels and stuff like that. So like when you have that many choices, like flavor of ice cream, and I got like three, whatever. Now you have like hundreds, right? So
Mhm.
you have all these options, and I think people are like, well, you know what my favorite thing is, and by
Mhm.
favorite I mean least favorite.
Yeah.
When I talk to a buddy and I'm like, oh, hey, what are you doing Friday? I don't know. I have to see. I'll see what's going on. If I'm free, we can hang out. No, what you're saying is, if there isn't anything better to do, I will hang out with you. Just say it. And that goes to choices. So if we have choices and all these other things, I think we look at people and we look at obligations and responsibilities as choices.
Mhm.
I think that's it.
You know what's so funny? Well, before, so okay, like my friends that I used to have before, they were a little bit like that. They're like, oh, I'll see. Maybe I'll do
Hmm.
it. I don't know. And I feel like even though I was a self-motivator, that was kind of seeping into my personality because I felt myself being a little lazy, like, oh, I don't
Yeah,
need to work this hard. I'm like the hardest working person I know. And then I
yeah,
started going to like festivals, and everyone's such a hustler. I literally could not stand still. I'm like, if I stand still, I'm last. These people, I literally see them walking around talking to everybody. I gotta do the same thing.
yeah. I get it. I get it completely. So we talk about quotes. We've been talking about quotes a lot in the interview.
Yeah.
Um, there's a quote that I think about a lot, and I don't know if it's true. I don't know if I agree with it, but I
Mhm.
think about it a lot.
Mhm.
You are the average of the five people you hang out with the most, right?
Yeah.
So in high school, I had my high school buddies, right? And years later, if I check on them, they are exactly where I left them, for better or worse, you know?
Mhm.
Um, their motivation was to get just whatever job, and they got whatever job, and they've been at that job for however many years now. And you're like, okay, okay, so you're not motivated. You know what I mean? And like you said, I was motivated. I was hungry. I was getting out there. I was putting myself out there. I was investing in myself, time wise, financially wise, spirit, whatever. Right? I was investing in myself, and I saw a lot of people that weren't. And now the people I tend to hang out with at the cons tend to be the same type, the ones who are very motivated, and even if they got to this level of success, they're not happy with just that. They want to do this, they want to do that. Like where I'm at now, I am very happy with that level of success, and I have to make sure not to be complacent about it.
Mhm.
But then I look and I see my body of work for like 2025 alone, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm not there yet as far as complacent. Whatever the mountaintop was, whatever I was looking to try to achieve, I I way surpassed it. I didn't expect to be this successful doing what I'm doing. I thought I was going to be toiling away, starving artist type and all of that, but like I have a good life, but I still like doing this. I'm not
Mhm.
doing it because I need bills or whatever. I'm doing this because I want to. So staying on that mountaintop, that's the goal now,
Mhm.
So I'm still hungry to continue where I'm at, you know?
I wanna aim for the moon. Isn't there another? There's so
You
many.
you if you aim for the stars, you can hit the moon, something like
No, no,
that.
no. If you aim for the moon, at least you'll fall into the stars or whatever. I think
There's
fall
no
amongst.
stars between the moon and the Earth. That doesn't make any sense.
That's the quote though. But I'm like, if I'm aiming for the moon, I better land on the moon and then aim for like Mars next. And then I'll
Sure,
end.
sure, somewhere hospitable, hopefully.
Exactly.
um, but yeah, no, like my, but it's kind of true what I'm saying earlier. Whatever my goals were, like I was like, oh, I'll find a book I can work on, and I'll be toiling away in my studio, and I'll develop neck problems and wrist problems, like working so hard. And now I work less hard than I thought I would,
Mhm.
and then I'm more successful than I thought I'd be. So like that's the sweet spot. If you
That's the
can get
dream.
to a point, yeah. And honestly, throughout my 20s, it was a lot of hard work, like a lot. And I
As in,
had to, yeah, yeah. It's if you want to do the metaphor of a rocket ship, you burn a lot of fuel at the beginning, and then you can kind of level off once you get to where you want to be. So I'm at the point where I'm leveling off, but I want to stay up there. I don't want to come crashing back down.
mhm. Like, oh my God. I got such terrible imposter syndrome when I was there. Cause let me tell you, do you know the show Arcane?
Yeah.
The first thing I see, there's like a pitch competition. I'm not a part of that pitch competition. I was a part of something else. But the first girl that pops up, the same age as me, I was like, "Hi, I'm blah 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 blah, and today I'm gonna show you my like arcane level animation to pitch my stuff." I was like, "Oh my God, is this what I'm competing against? I
Yeah.
don't have arcane level animation to pitch my stuff. I have
Oh,
my
well.
That was terrifying." But I befriended her, and
Oh, good.
she was pushing me up so high because every time I see her, she was doing something productive, and I'll
That's
be like
good.
tired way faster.
Hmm.
But it was like a 5-day event. So the first day, I feel like I felt very, honestly, like I was kind of faking until I make it. I felt ridiculously insecure because everyone had so much stuff, and I was like, guys, I don't even have like a degree. Like I'm just here.
Yeah.
And the second day, I was like, okay, I befriended these people and kind of learned their tricks. And then the third day, I was one of these people. So you are the average of who you spend your time with. I felt it so fast, so hard.
Yeah,
And
and there is something to like fake it till you make it. I remember taking jobs when I was like 18 or whatever, where like, hey, do you think you can do this? You can do that? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, sure, yeah. And then I had to learn how to do it, you know? And I was like learning on the job as I was going, literally. Like each page was getting better because I was learning. I just, like there's that metaphor of like just jumping in the deep end and how kids nowadays are afraid to like learn to swim because they gotta like jump in. And so like that was me just jumping in. I was like, okay, let's do it. Um, but yeah, fake it till you make it. And eventually you'll forget that you had to fake it to begin with and you just
you
made
know,
it.
you know Robert Kirkman? Of course you
Yeah.
know Robert.
Robert Kirkman was the first writer I ever worked with at Marvel. Yes, he was doing a book, Jubilee, an X-Men character, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do an issue of Jubilee?" I was like, "Yes, absolutely." And yeah, it was Robert Kirkman, and it was before Invincible and Walking Dead had really hit, and probably should have kept in touch with him.
What? Oh my
Yeah,
God, he's like my literal. I want to become Robert Kirkman. Well, like kind
he
of.
he hustled. He had a vision. He had stories he had that he had to get out, and now he's one of the main architects of comics, not just Image Comics, but comics in general.
I saw a video, a documentary on him, and apparently he lied 99% of the time, but like not in a bad way. Like they'd be like the producers or something would go like, "Do you have this?" And be like, "Heck yeah, I do. I'll send it to you next week." And he had
Yep,
nothing, and he made it
yep,
by the next week.
yep, yep. He did that with comics as well. He was like, oh, what was it? Do you know the story about Walking Dead? How he got it approved?
No.
Oh, okay. This is a good one. I saw it in a documentary as well. It's on Amazon. I don't know if it's up there for you, but like it's a good documentary about like the founding of Image.
Mm.
And back then, comics weren't selling very well. And the guy that was running Image at the time, he was like, "Hey, I got this book. I want to do a zombie book." I'm like, zombie books don't sell. It's like, no, no, no. It's gonna be zombies, but then after a few issues, we're gonna reveal it's actually aliens. And like, oh, that's different. Okay, well, we'll give it a few issues. And then they were doing the book, and it was selling, and it was selling, and they're like, "Hey, there's no aliens." He's like, "What? No, there's never gonna be aliens." You
Oh my
just say what
God.
you want. You figure it out.
Oh my
You
gosh,
get,
that's
yeah,
so funny.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I did? It wasn't lying or anything, but for the pitch thing, you're only allowed to submit two things, and you're only allowed to pitch those two. Well,
Okay.
I brought four, and my first question would be, what kind of stuff are you looking for? And depending on their answer, I would pull out whichever pitch that I thought would fit them best.
Yeah. No, that's totally fine. Yeah, you got to adapt to the situation, you know. I mean, as an artist, I try to adapt the situation. If it calls for realistic, if it calls for cartoony, if it calls for, whatever graphic, style, yeah, I try to be adaptable. I try to be adaptable in life too. Like if I'm at a party and it's a get together and it's a bunch of loudmouths talking, I'm not going to compete with that. I'll be the quiet guy, right?
Yeah.
If I'm at a party and everybody's quiet and nobody's talking, I'm like, okay, I'll be the MC. I'll like introduce people like, hey, you should talk to this person. Do you know him? That kind of thing.
Mhm.
So like just be adaptable in life, but be adaptable for your pitch. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I really want people to like connect me with other people. So I remember when I befriend those people who are pitching their stuff, I would talk about their pitches to other people, so in hopes
Hmm.
that they would talk about my pitches to other people, because I know who would meet who. So I'd be like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, this girl makes arcane levels videos. Like, you should work with her."
Well, and you never know, like that person could get a job somewhere and like, hey, you know what? Actually, I know this artist, I know this person, Sophia, she's really good. You should have her, you know? I remember when I was at San Diego, these lines were crazy long, and I would befriend the guys in line with me in the portfolio
Mhm.
reviews. And I would look and I'd be like, oh, that's what I'm competing with. Wow. And it was never anything where I was just like, oh my God, I gotta walk away, I gotta leave. It was more like, okay. I got to step my game. I got to make sure every page is as good as, some of these guys, right? And,
Mhm.
some of them did end up getting work elsewhere and they reached out and they're like, hey, you want to work together? I got this job. I got this gig. So, like, sometimes it's good to befriend people on that same level starting out because they will get somewhere. You never know. They'd be like, well, I can't do it, but my friend can do it.
Mhm.
That's how it can work sometimes.
That's literally the dream. Okay,
Yeah.
I have one final question I need to ask because I realized time flew.
Oh, I
So
know. Sorry. We talk a lot. Sorry.
no, that's the whole point to be
Yeah,
here.
right?
It's literally a
Yeah.
yapping channel.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. The Yappin channel. I like it.
what's one advice you give to the aspiring storytellers watching this right now?
Oh man. I think I already said it, but nobody needs to give you permission to do what it is that you got in you to do. If it's drawing, if it's telling a story, if it's writing, if it's creating, whatever it is, don't wait for somebody to be like, you know what, I'd really like to see this from you. Do it. Do it and put it out there. Don't just have it hidden away. I can't tell you how many times somebody's like, "Oh, you're an artist? Oh, I'm an artist too. Oh, do you have some of your stuff?" No, no, I don't share that online. What are you doing? You're just creating for nothing? You're creating for yourself? Show it. Put it out there. Make your own little Instagram channel or whatever, handle, whatever. Oh, this is just my art. And then this is pictures of my food. Whatever. Show
Mhm.
your stuff out there. You have an online resume you can show people, but nothing's stopping you. There's absolutely nothing stopping you. Oh, I don't have the time. I don't have this. I use this example a lot, but I have a guitar that's collecting dust in my living room. I look at it, I'm like, I wish I was better at playing guitar. I just don't have the time. No, no, no. We don't make the time. That's different. That's a very different thing than we don't have the time. We have the time. If it's less sleep, if it's less socializing, if it's less whatever, you can make the time. I made the time to be an artist.
Mhm.
I didn't
Mhm.
have the time. I was doing this at school at 2 in the morning, when I was like, oh, I should probably be sleeping. No, I got one more page I want to finish before I go to bed, you know, whatever it is. When I was doing 4 books at a time and getting 4 hours of sleep, maybe a day, wake
Mhm.
up, work, go to sleep, wake up, work, go to sleep. You make the time unless it's not really something you want to do, like my guitar that's collecting dust, you know. The other thing I would say is whatever you're working on, whatever you've started, finish it. Finish it. So many people like, oh, I got like a third of it done. I got the first few pages done. Finish it. It's not going to be the best thing ever made. It's
Mhm.
not going to be your best thing ever made, but it will inform the next thing you work on, and the next thing will be better because of it. There's this guy, Orson Welles. He was a movie director. Uh, his first big break was Citizen Kane. That
Mhm.
was his vision, right? And one of the movies didn't do very well, didn't review very well. It's considered one of the greatest movies, if not the greatest movie ever made.
Huh.
And it's the only movie that he ever did where he had complete control. Everything he did since was not as revered. And the
Yeah.
studio got in and they changed things and all of that, right? Not everybody's going to be Orson Welles. Not everybody's going to make their best thing at the very beginning. But people think that. People
Mhm.
think, like, oh, no, 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 it's not perfect. I got to start over. No, make it imperfect. Continue it. Don't start over for the fourth time or fifth time. Well, I don't like the way this is coming out. I got to start. No, finish it. Finish it. The next one will be better. That's
I
that's the
agree.
advice. Yeah.
No, that's so beautiful. Like one last thing I want to say because
Sure.
that reminds me, half of the people I know, they make a comic and then they're like, Oh, I became a better artist. I need to go back and redraw it. I'm like, don't do that. Just move
No,
on to the next thing.
yeah, you do the second issue. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then when people, read issue 1 through 4, they'd be like, wow, it really picks up around issue 3. Holy crap. The guy, Todd McFarlane, when you see his early stuff, you're like, oh, this is cute, and then you see like the gradual progression. You're like, holy crap, he is leveling up. If he was like, actually, Marvel, DC guys, can I get that issue back? I don't really like the way it's coming out. I'm sorry. Like, no, no, do it. Just keep doing it. Keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this
Mm-hmm.
marathon isn't going the way it's starting. I got to start over. No, it's a marathon. Just keep running.
You can't go back. You can't be like, oh, I need to go back, run a little better. No
You
way.
you can, but don't.
And then you're two steps ahead behind everybody if you do that.
Exactly. And yourself, your own time.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna start using that. Like, yeah, if you're running a marathon, like the way the first few minutes are starting. If you go back, then you are twice as far behind, right?
Mhm.
Instead of just
Yeah,
going forward and not being as fast as you want it to be, it's still better than starting over again. Yeah,
exactly.
that's a good one. I like that.
Those are some good advices. And
No,
where can
thanks.
our awesome listeners find your work?
Oh, okay. Let's see. Probably the best way is Instagram. It's my name. My
Mhm.
name is tricky. It's Mostafa, Mostafa, and then INK for ink. So just all one word, Mostafa Ink. If you check my website, mustafaink.com, or Mustafa Ink on Instagram, that's usually the best way to find my stuff
Click, guys, in the link. Boom, boom, boom.
down there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Podcast for Fun. Thank you so much, Mustafa, for joining us and sharing your incredible insights. We might do this again, guys. Who knows? Who
Oh,
knows?
it's fun. It was fun. We got to yap. It was good.
I love yapping. Just a good excuse to talk about comics
Yeah,
and like,
absolutely. And for other people to hear too.
yes. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with fellow storytelling enthusiasts. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to explore, you can drop them in the comments or connect with me on any of my social medias at Podcast for Fun. Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and we'll see you on the next episode of Podcast for Fun.